Uprising, welcome to today's show. Get a load of this. I don't know how much more obvious it can get that we're in spiritual warfare, that the only truth in this world is Jesus Christ, that this is all prophesized, that witches and Satanists are real. We hear about them day in and day out, movie after movie, show after show, showing you witches and magic and sorcery and Satan. It's always the theme of God versus the devil, yet everybody thinks that the Bible's fiction, that none of this is real. And now this story comes out that a library is seeking the help of witches to translate a 17th century spell book. I kid you not. Since calling all witches and warlocks for library enthusiasts, Chicago's Newberry Library is crowdsourcing translations for 3 17th century manuscripts of spells, charms, and magic, handwritten in Latin and English. The 3 texts, the Book of Magical Charms, the Commonplace Book, and Cases of Conscience Concerning Witchcraft, are currently available online under the Independent Research Library's Transcribing Faith portal. It says you don't need a PhD to transcribe. This is a great way to allow the general public to engage with these materials in a way that they probably wouldn't have otherwise. So in other words, they're letting this old manuscript, this book of spells and witchcraft, go viral, putting it out on the internet for everyone to see, pretending like, hey, we need some help translating it, pushing it so people look into it. Yet, as I've documented before on this channel, the Bible is actually banned from certain libraries. The Bible is on the list of most controversial books in America, the Bible. Yet this is okay, calling all witches. It says so far experts have figured out that the Book of Magical Charms, written by 2 anonymous witches in the 1600s, contains spells to quote-unquote cheat at dice and ease menstrual cramps, as well as speak with spirits. Oh, okay. So we're supposed to believe that the spell is supposed to help you cheat at the game of dice, right? All of these satanic books, they teach us all the tricks of the trade about cheating at poker, right? Cheating at Monopoly. Give me a break. These spells, all of this stuff is to gain power. It is to summon spirits and demons. This is forbidden by God. This is forbidden in the Bible. Deuteronomy 18:9-12. When thou art come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abomination of those nations. There shall not be found among you any one that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that use divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all that do these things are an abomination unto the Lord, and because of these abominations, the Lord thy God doth drive them out from before thee. Yet this is getting promoted. This is in a local library. And the Satanists and the witches, they try to act like these books and these things don't really exist. It's actually comical if you have any discernment. Watching these scumbags try to lie about stuff like this, they pretend that books like the Book of Shadows isn't real, when in fact it is. They pretend that the Necronomicon's not a real book and not a real thing. Meanwhile, this book of spells and sorcery, which will help you, hey, win at dice, and also talk to spirits and demons from the other side. It's like, oh, okay, help me at the game of dice or dominoes maybe. And oh, by the way, you can also summon demons. Oh, is that all? And you can see from the pictures here, you can see a lot of the symbols that are used, right? Because in Satanism and witchcraft, symbols are used. That's why I constantly am talking about looking for these symbols, because they're constantly embedding them into people's heads. They're all over children's games, children's clothing, schools, daycare centers, business logos. They are everywhere, and people need to be aware of this. So not only are they promoting this, they are putting the magical text on display during an exhibition, because according to the people behind putting it on the display, they add nuance to our perception of religious life during a period marked by grand transformative movements. And that's what we're seeing now. The transformation, right? I constantly am saying that because that's what they're constantly saying in their music, in the stuff that they're releasing. They're talking about a transformation. We're seeing a quote-unquote gender transformation, where everybody is becoming a Baphomet. The transformation is about the accepting of the Antichrist, and they're getting people comfortable with all of this stuff. They've been indoctrinating kids with Harry Potter and witchcraft and Disney and Cinderella and you name it, Beauty and the Beast. Every one of these movies has a theme around magic. Snow White with the apple. It's all about indoctrinating and getting to the children, the next generation, to be a generation of occultists, to be practicing black magic. They don't want to do this in the woods anymore. As Taylor Swift in her song Out of the Woods states, are they out of the woods yet? Are they in the clear? That is because the witches have been doing this in secrecy in the woods for centuries. They no longer want to do this in the woods. They want all of the disgusting practices that they do to be done in public domain, in plain sight. And right now, we're seeing that. We see on television all these rituals that are doing that they call concerts and performances and performance art. The performance art is a ritual. The stuff that Marina Abramovich is doing isn't art. They use the term art to get away with performing their satanic witchcraft rituals in plain sight. Well, this is what's next. They're going to be teaching kids about this stuff. They're going to say, listen, the Christians want God back in the schools. Okay, so let's bring it back in, but we're going to bring in witchcraft and sorcery. Then we're going to make the Bible look like a book of bigotry and hate, and we're going to promote witchcraft and Satanism as this tolerant movement of people who accept everyone else, and everyone's going to think it's the wonderful solution. The deception is here. It's now. We're seeing it. They're calling it a transformation. That's what they're doing. Well, they put out these books of magical charms, the Book of Shadows, all of this stuff. They're promoting it on the Smithsonian as if it's a good thing. These people summon spirits. They speak to the deceased, to demons, I should say. They summon them, and nobody thinks there's a problem with it. They still think it's make-believe. There's people who have every single Disney movie that you could possibly imagine. They have their house filled with all the Disney idols, idol statues, and the cartoon pillows, or whatever you call them, stuffed animals. If you go up to them and go, magic's real, they go, what? Oh, well, you only go to the Magic Kingdom. You only watch Cinderella, which is about magic, and Harry Potter, which is about magic, and Snow White, which is about magic, and Aladdin, which is about magic, and The Little Mermaid, which is about magic. You name it. But these people are too dumb to see what is going on. That the repetition has gotten to them to the point where they don't even realize what's controlling them. So as Christians, we need to be aware of these things, because as this stuff comes out, think about 100 years ago, if openly they were saying, hey, we have all these books of witchcraft, here they are, the Book of Magical Charms, etc. We're going to put it on display, and people come on down and read it and have a good time decoding some of the spells inside the book. You can practice the spells. They'd be lit on fire on the spot. Now it's, hey, this is great. Freedom of religion, freedom of this, tolerance, tolerance, tolerance. And the only enemy that they're creating in the minds of the people are us, the Christians. They're turning us into humanity's enemy because we won't go along with the crap. Not because we're hateful, because these are God's laws and we're obeying God's laws. And we're trying to help people realize that they're under a spell. These people who think they're born a woman when they're born with a penis or vice versa, they don't have a clue that they're under mind control. They refuse to believe it because of their pride. So they created a world where we are looked at as the worst possible thing. And they're going to make it worse and worse. And they're going to start slowly promoting this stuff. Oh, the Book of Magical Charms, just like in Harry Potter? Cool. I'll bring my young 2-year-old and 4-year-old down because they love Harry Potter. They can look at this as if it's make-believe because they're so dumbed down to what's actually real in this world. They think their 9-to-5 cubicle job is real. That's the illusion. That's the illusion of freedom. Picking which brand of cookies you want to buy at the store. That's the illusion of freedom. Because the cookies have the same chemicals in it and are owned by the same elites who run and control everything. It's the illusion of freedom. So this is the witches, again, coming out of the woods with their spells. Hey, know any witches or warlocks, the article said? Have them come on down so they can translate, perform the spells, and open. And people go, ooh, cool, like Harry Potter. It's absolutely absurd what's going on in our world. As Christians, we need to make other Christians aware and snap them out of this lukewarm love lifestyle they live in, where they walk around holding hands, singing Kumbaya, and letting people, and supporting stuff like this. There's Christians who would support it and go, oh, let them do what they want now. Come on. You think that's what God wants? These people out there performing spells and sorcery, raising their kids on it, brainwashing them? Of course not. We can't be tolerant of this crap. These books, these magic books, they should be set on fire, and then they should be flushed down the biggest septic tank you can find. That's where they should be. But instead, they're going to be on display. Give me a break. I thank you for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families.